What is going on, guys? AJ here, and today I would like to start this video off by thanking all of you guys for 300 subscribers. That is so awesome, and I gotta thank you guys for that. Thank you very much. So now, for today, we're going to be going over the DK changes for 5.4. Now, please note that all these changes are in the PTR and they're subject to change before the patch comes out. But still, though, most of them are still going to be permanent. So let's take a look today. We're going to start off by going over the general changes. So let's get going. Now, to start off, Deathgate is going to be returning you to a location that you departed from when you use it in Ebon Hold. Which basically means if you ported over to the Ebon Hold from Orgrimmar, then when you port back, you're going to be in Orgrimmar. So that's a pretty good change. Next up, we got IBF. That's not going to be costing Runic Power anymore. Now, that doesn't really affect Blood very much, because that's a Sangreid Fortitude thing. It did that already. But for all the other specs, for Frost and Unholy, that's actually a pretty decent ease of life change. I wouldn't say it's a major survivability boost, but it's pretty nice, I would say. Next up, this is as of today, Unholy Presence. It's now going to give you a flat 10% haste to everything. So that means like ranged abilities, ruin abilities, everything is going to have a 10% flat haste boost to everything while you're in it. Movement speed is going to be remained unchanged, of course. But I guess that they're basing that off of a bug that they found with the improved Blood Presence and the Runic Corruption, where what would pretty much happen is they would go together. Runic Corruption would proc, and then all of a sudden the rates of the proc trinkets would start to proc faster, so that was kind of like causing a DPS bug in PvE. So, I mean, it's going to be a nice little change to PvP, and I think it'll be worth it. Next up, we have Blood. Now, here are the changes that I am loving in Blood. Blood is getting buffed out the butt next patch. Blood is probably going to be so good next patch, especially in PvP. It's going to be a very good spec next patch. Here's why. Riposte. What Riposte is you're going to learn it at 76. And when you dodge or parry any attack, now you got to remember, as a Blood DK in PvP, you're dodging or parrying any attack basically every second or so. I mean, you're dodging a lot in PvP and PvE too. You're going to gain 75% of that as a bonus to critical strike for 20 seconds. All of your dodge and parry, 75% of it, is going to be converted over to crit for 20 seconds. Now that is crazy. Here's why. As a DK in Blood, you're generally going to have around 20% dodge and parry, and about 11% crit. 75% of 20% is going to be 15%. 15% added on to the already around 11% crit that you have in Blood is going to be around 26% crit. Now we start adding more dodge and parry into that equation, then all of a sudden that goes up to around 35%. Which means, at all times next patch, Blood DKs will have a Dark Soul up, basically. That is absolutely crazy. I stole a Dark Soul in the arena the other day, and I was a crit machine. No joke. So what this means is that Blood has the potential to be played in PvP next patch as a DPS spec. I'm going to be making a guide on how we can possibly do that and gem for that. Whether or not it'll happen or not, that obviously remains to be seen. But Riposte opens up the potential for it. Next up is another humongous buff, especially for survivability. I'm going to tell you why this next buff is really, really good for our survivability in an upcoming video. It's going to be like my double conversion macro trick. It's a new macro that you guys are going to have. I'm not going to tell you guys this video. It's going to be a next video. Dancing Rune Weapon no longer costs Runic Power. My friends, this is the biggest ease of life change, and this is the hugest survivability buff Blizzard could have ever given Blood DKs. Hugest. And I'll talk to you guys about that in the next video. Next up, Sangreid Fortitude. No longer reduces the cost of Icebound Fortitude. That's basically because Icebound Fortitude is free, so Sangreid no longer reduces it. Da-da-da. Next up, Son of Blood has a chance to activate when a Death Knight dodges or parries a melee attack. Holy moly, dodge and parry is going to be good next patch. No joke. When you dodge or parry an attack, you're going to gain a stack of that Son of Blood, which stacks up to 5 times, which increases the bonus healing from your Death Strike. Holy moly. This is going to be so good because you're dodging and parrying a lot, which means that you're going to get higher stacks, which means that this is a bigger survivability increase for us. Very good change. Next up, for Unholy. Our Master of Ghouls now has a cooldown of Raised Dead, reduces it by 60 seconds. What this means, Unholy is now very good in RBGs. It was good before, it's even better now because our pet is pretty much going to be active 24/7. Before, the pet would get killed down by the dots every 30 seconds, so now we're going to be able to have more uptime on it and have more CC as Unholy, like we should in an RPG. Another ease of life change coming in today for Unholy is that our Leap and our Gnaw abilities are no longer on a GCD, and they no longer cost energy. This is big. This means that in an arena, if we want to focus charge one of the healers, or focus stun one of the healers, or do whatever, our Ghoul, we're going to be able to do that immediately. It's not like before where we might have had to turn off our Gnaw in order to get this to happen, or we might have had to keep like spamming the button. No more of that next patch. It's just going to be when you want the stun, you get it. Bada bing, bada boom. Just like that. Next up, talents. Anti-Magic Zone, redesigned. I don't like this at all. I really do not like this talent, and I don't think it's going to be viable next patch, but I read it to you anyway. The talent reduces magic damage taken in the zone by 40% for 3 seconds, and there's no longer a total cap on the damage that you can get, and it no longer scales with strength. So pretty much, pretty big nerf. I don't think it's going to be really used that much. It might be a situational talent in possibly an arena against a double caster team. I really don't think it's going to be that useful, though. Next up, Death Siphon. Damage increased by 10%. Folks, it simply won't be viable. What they're gonna do to Death Siphon is every patch they're gonna keep increasing the damage on it until people start taking it. But the fact is that nobody is really gonna take this ability because it wasn't good and it wasn't designed well to begin with. What they need to do to Death Siphon is they need to do the following: make it consume all of the available Death Ruins that you have and use that as bonus healing. So, for example, currently Death Siphon converts it takes one Death Ruin, and it'll heal you for whatever. Let's say that you have 4 Death Ruins available. Instead of having to press that button 4 times, make it consume all 4 Death Ruins there, and increase the healing that you do by 4 times what it usually would be. But don't increase the damage because we don't want it to be a nuke ability. Keep it the same. So, have it consume more Death Ruins and heal you for more depending on how many ruins it consumes. That's what they need to do if they want it to be taken in PvE and PvP. Now, here's the big one coming up here. Plague Leech now tries to convert 2 fully depleted ruins up from 1 into a Death Ruin based on your spec. So for Blood, it restores 1 Frost and 1 Unholy Ruin. That's 1 Death Strike. For Frost, 1 Frost Ruin, 1 Unholy Ruin. That's 1 Obliterate. For Unholy, 1 Blood Ruin, 1 Frost Ruin. That's 2 Necros. So basically what this is going to do is this is going to give you a lot more single target pressure on I believe it's a 25-second cooldown. That is really good. I think it's going to be taken a lot next patch, and I think that you guys are going to have to start Pestilencing instead of using the Rolling Blood talent. I really think that this is going to give you an advantage in PvP over your enemy if you know how to use it correctly. So will it be taken? Absolutely. Next up, let's look at the new glyphs that we have, because they have some pretty cool stuff here. The Glyph of Festering Blood. It's going to make Blood Boil treat all targets as if they are infected with the Blood Plague or Frost Fever. Basically what this means is that your Blood Plague damage is increased by 50%, baseline. So, is that alright? It's kind of like the Chains of Ice glyph where it increases the damage by your Chains of Ice. I mean, it's alright, but I think that it's kind of a waste of a glyph spot, in my opinion. I don't think I'll be taking it next patch. But if there is a new glyph that I'll be taking, it is the Glyph of Regenerative Magic. Regenerative Magic. If anti-magic spell expires after its full duration, which means that you have to sit the full duration of AMS. It can't just be broken by damage. It doesn't work like that. It has to go to its full duration. Then the cooldown is reduced based on the amount of damage absorbed. Now, I was kind of questioning as why is this even good? And it came to mind that pretty much what this is going to be used for is eating CC. So if you AMS a Polymorph, then obviously your anti-magic shell is going to expire to its full duration, and you took barely any damage. So because you took barely any damage, your cooldown on AMS is lowered. Whoa, that's really good. Especially if you are taking damage and it doesn't break. I think that that is going to be almost a required glyph next patch. I think that's going to be excellent, and you definitely should have that no matter what. That's going to be better. If you take the Glyph of AMS, you're going to want Glyph of Regenerative Magic instead next patch. Next up, Glyph of Swift Death. I don't really like this very much. Haste effect granted by Soul Reaper after it expires is going to also increase your movement speed by, I think it's 30%. I don't like it. I mean, because in arenas and RBGs, I mean, the chances that you're going to land a Soul Reaper and it's going to expire before its full duration are, or that the target is going to die before it expires is low, especially in arenas. So it's kind of like the Glyph of Death Strike. I don't like that glyph either. So would I recommend it? No. Next up, Glyph of the Loud Horn. It generates additional runic power, but the cooldown is increased. It's going to generate double, up to 20, but it's going to be a minute cooldown. Do I like it? It's iffy. I think it's going to be situational, really. I don't know if a lot of people will really take it or not. I mean, the Horn of Winter. I mean, it's a good runic power boost, but to take up a major glyph slot just to get a little bit more out of it, I don't really think it's worth it that much. Plus, you have a minute cooldown on it, and honestly, I think in the end you're kind of going to be losing DPS rather than gaining it. Next up, we have some new minor glyphs as well. The Glyph of the Long Winter. Your Horn of Winter ability is going to last an hour. What's the point in that? Because you're using it in your rotation. And the Glyph of the Skeleton, you get a skeleton now instead of a ghoul. So that's pretty cool. So guys, these were the changes for 5.4 for Death Knights. Thank you guys all for watching this video. And if you guys enjoyed it, make sure to thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And also, we have one more little change here that I forgot to mention, and it is that all the knockback effects are now going to share a diminishing return. So stuff like Ursul's Vortex and Gorfien's Grasp. This is the last thing I want to go over. They're going to DR with each other, so there's really going to be no more grip beams in RBGs for DK. So a little bit of a nerf there, but not too bad. Alright guys, thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. I will see you guys all in my next video. Peace out.